In today's video, I'll walk you through how I killed almost all of my seedlings this year accidentally, I will add, with the absolute very best intentions, but I definitely destroyed almost all of them nonetheless with my very well-meaning love. And I thought I would just share so that you can know what to do or what not to do so you can avoid these things. Hello there, if you're new, welcome, I'm Liz, and in my free time I enjoy finding new hobbies. And I don't just find them and I'm like, oh, this will be fun. I dive headfirst into them. And this year I dove headfirst into gardening. Now, I've never gardened before, and I decided that I would do it the hardest way possible by starting my own vegetable garden from seeds. 2 months after the recommended time to do so, they kind of have a timeline based on your frost date. So I went forth with so much confidence and absolutely zero knowledge, and therefore we had the great seedling tragedy of 2021 at our home. But I learned an absolute crap ton in the process, and I thought you might be able to benefit from these mistakes if you are a new gardener, you want a new hobby, or in case you're just really interested in how it's even possible that I killed so many plants so quickly. Hundreds. We're talking hundreds of plants. Okay. So let's start at the very beginning. In lesson 1 of this video, we will be reviewing how to get your plants off to the worst possible start by planting your seeds poorly. Now, I assumed when doing this initial task that the more seeds I planted, the better, right? Because more obviously is always better, and that you needed to use the entire seed packet, otherwise you were being wasteful. So I've never planted seeds before, and instead of researching the process of how to do this, I asked my 3-year-old, who got her information from a Daniel Tiger episode where he planted plants. So we planted about 15 seeds into every single seed pod, and seed pods are half the size of a deck of cards, for reference, with our thinking being, well, hey, at least this way we're more likely to have something grow, right? Spoiler, you do not need to use the entire packets of seeds. You can just securely close the packet with some tape and store it somewhere dry until the next time you want to plant the next year. You don't need to use it all at one time. And more importantly, 2 to 3 seeds per cell is usually plenty because all of those seedlings in a perfect world are going to pop up and you will have to immediately eliminate 12 to 24 of your seedling siblings, depending on how many you packed in there. And that is quite sad. But otherwise they'll all choke each other out and get really tall, and they get spindly when there's a ton of them because they're trying to climb up to the light, so they're not focusing on being strong, they're just focusing on being tall. And then it makes wimpy little plants that don't stand up well and will get blown over as soon as you go outside for the first time. So, whoops. So, we've arrived at takeaway 1, fewer seeds per cell. 3 is usually plenty, and you can snip out the 2 weaker seedlings once they're kind of showing themselves and you're like, oh, you look like the best. And if all 3 come up, then that's awesome. You can weed those other 2 out, and if only 1 shows up, then perfect. You needed those other 2 backup plans. Good planning, you. Now, on to lesson 2, how to delay the germination of your plants. If you want your plants to take absolutely forever to sprout, you should definitely do what I did and give them barely any light and keep them in a super cool basement to try to grow. I bought an adjustable plant light on Amazon. Again, didn't really do a lot of research here, and while it was definitely a source of some light, it was nowhere near enough light for the amount of seedlings I had, and it didn't reach all of them because it just had these spindly little arms, and the lumens weren't really bright enough. The reviews kind of got me. I ordered it because it had multicolored lights and bendy arms that I thought would be ooh, I can put it exactly where I want. But in reality, it just meant that they were kind of like a tripping hazard, and they lacked the bright sunlight kind of lights that the plants actually wanted. And the temperature. While my Brussels sprouts thrived in these temperatures because they're actually a colder weather plant, you're supposed to plant in the fall or the really early spring. I'm trying to force them to enjoy the summer. But the rest, so they really liked the cold weather and the dark, but the rest of the plants were not loving it. And I think they would have been okay if they were a little bit chilly, even in the basement, if they had light. But depriving them of both light and heat was quite rude in hindsight, and would explain why it took such a long time for these crowded little seedlings to sprout. Which brings us to takeaway number 2. Give your plants adequate light. Next year, I'm going to construct a setup like this. There'll be a picture somewhere here. And it'll cover, like the light that I'm gonna get is gonna cover the whole surface of the container that I will probably again grow in my basement. I probably won't go with a heat mat because I'm terrified of burning my house down, but that's always an option for you if you will be growing your seedlings in a cooler environment and they want more warmth to germinate. I will leave the exact stuff that I'm planning on buying for next year down below, maybe sooner if I decide to plant a fall garden. My husband's like, please no. I'll leave all that linked down below in case you would like to try out this new method with me and we can have glorious plants. All right, so let's reset the scene. We have seeds that are in like a Hunger Games style competition scene for where they're competing for space with their siblings. They not only need to be the best, but they need to be the best without basic things like sunlight and heat. Some of the only essential things that plants actually need. And what else do plants really need? They also need water. Yeah. Now I'm sure you're thinking, Liz, surely you didn't deprive your plants of water. Everyone knows plants at least need water, right? And oh, my friends, you are correct. I knew they needed water, and I was the most attentive plant mom in the world. I carefully watered my plants daily, sometimes twice daily, if they seemed dry. There was no lack of effort on my part here. It was just a really flawed method. So since I hadn't done much research on how to water the plants, the only method of watering that I knew about was like, I don't know, when you see people watering things and they water it from above ground with like a hose and they're sprinkling it all over, giving a nice little trickle of a rain shower. And I wanted to give my plants the gentlest rain shower because they seemed like very fragile babies after all. And since they probably were more fragile than normal since they're being tortured. But I just thought they were really wimpy. I didn't think, oh, they're poor plants. They were so misunderstood. Turns out they're survivor plants, not like the wimpiest things ever. Anyway, in my efforts to be the world's best plant mom, I misted, like with a spray bottle, misted these plants once or twice a day until the top of the soil looked wet. And I did this every day, and then they stopped growing. And they all started to die, which seemed very odd since I was watering them constantly, but they were just like shriveling up. And I was like, what on earth? But honestly, even though I was thinking that, I didn't like think, oh, I should get help. I just figured, oh, seedlings die, like they all won't make it. So I went on like this, watching them slowly die off for like 2 weeks. Like 8 to 10 of these plants were dying a day. And at that point, like 2 weeks later, a kind internet friend asked me if the soil felt damp, like 1 inch down into the soil in the pods. And she told me that in order for your plant to be like well watered, this area should feel damp. And so I tried and it was like bone dry and like rock hard. And that's because I had only been watering the tops of the plants and not the roots. So the plant wasn't making roots because all the water was at the top. So they had these spindly little bad roots at the top trying to get the top water and nothing down below. Super good. So it was then that I discovered the world of watering your plants from the bottom, where you place water in the bottom of like a tray that your plants live in and you let them soak up the water from the bottom. And when the top is looking hydrated, you empty the rest of the water so it's not just sitting in them, and repeat the process when they look thirsty and wilty again. This will water the whole plant. It will then make roots, and the roots will get better and deeper and they'll go down because they're trying to find the water, and it provides them with at least one of their essential nutrients that they need for life that you've otherwise been depriving them of. So, takeaway number 3, water your plants from the bottom, especially when they're seedlings, because this will ensure that they suck up enough water and it won't crush them. Those baby leaves don't really love being wet. Like I said, you can kind of crumple it. So watering from the bottom eliminates that trauma to the plant. And occasionally check your soil to make sure it's damp an inch or so down, and your plants will appreciate you. Okay, so now our plants have water, which means some of the remaining few that have not died yet were looking alive. And I was absolutely thrilled. I was like, wow, I'm really getting the hang of this. And I felt really bad for them because I had neglected them so much. So I said to myself, these plants deserve a treat. So I will give them plant food. And because, once again, I lack understanding that I just need to like research before charging ahead, I went to our local garden store and I said, what's the best plant food? She gave it to me, and I went home, filled up my spray bottle with the plant food. I diluted it perfectly for the seedlings and sprayed the heck out of those plants. I made sure they were totally covered with the plant food, figuring this was the best for them and that they would reward me with phenomenal growth. I double checked when I was supposed to feed these things, like what kind of day, and my brief research on the internet told me that I could feed them in the very early morning or the evening, and as soon as they have 2 little leaf sprouts. So I was like, oh my gosh, almost all of my seedlings have 2 little leaf sprouts. So they're ready to go. Here's their treat. Full steam ahead. Well, you can just imagine my surprise when I woke up the next day and even more of my plants were dead. And every single one had this weird bleach-looking spots on like their leaves that caused the plant to look even like more wilted than they had when they were deprived of water and sunlight and warmth. So it was then that I got on YouTube and I was like, how to fertilize plants. And I learned that fertilizer is a really great way to feed your plants' roots. Not their leaves, their roots. Their leaves are just there to absorb sunshine. It's the roots that you want to nourish. If you get fertilizer on a plant's leaves, they will actually burn and be angry and they will wilt and die. And that's just what many of mine did. And because I was really good and thorough and I had sprayed that whole plant with food, it was very dramatic death. I also learned that my seedlings did not actually have real leaves yet. When they said leaves, they were talking about actual leaves. What they had were their little starter seedling leaves. So I think there's a real name for that, but I don't remember. But these are just their baby leaves. And one should never ever fertilize baby leaves because the plant is still getting food from really deep down in the plant center. It's kind of like a yolk, or I don't know, an embryo sac. Obviously a plant expert, but they're still getting food from that source. So they don't need external food yet, just sun, water, and warmth, which mine, of course, were going without. And as it turns out, it's quite harmful to the plant to be given fertilizer when the baby leaves are still the only things present. Good. So that explains why they were all so fragile and not loving all of the carefully selected and applied food that I had bought and prepared and fed them. Which brings us to takeaway number 4. When fertilizing your plants, wait until you have a set or 2 of true leaves and apply it to the roots, not the leaves. This will help them actually grow and not burn them to death. Speaking of burning, oh friends, did you think I would actually avoid burning my plants after all that they had been through? Because I definitely gave those babies a horrible sunburn on top of the rest of their plight. Again, not on purpose, of course. It was me having the best intentions go terribly wrong. So at this point in my journey, I realized I needed to start Googling things and stop just charging headfirst into my well-meaning torture of my plants. And so I looked up what I needed to do for my plants to make the transition from my basement to living outside. The weather was warming up and I wanted to be able to give them, some natural light since my lights weren't that great and they would be making this transition anyway. So the internet told me that I should harden them off by taking them outside for a few hours a day and slowly increasing the amount of time that they are outside until they were outside for like 8-ish hours a day, at which point they hit the very exciting milestone of being able to start having sleepovers outside on the porch, which sounded very fun and was everything I hoped for my small plants. So I put my plants outside in the very beginning of the afternoon. It was like noon. And so it was going to get the brightest light, my little plants that just needed light. I set a timer on my phone for 2 hours, and then I drove off to the vet. My dog was having surgery, and I got to the vet, and I got horrible news about my dog that ended up being a misdiagnosis, thank goodness. But I was really distraught about my fur baby, and I kind of totally forgot about my plant babies, and they sat outside for like 6 hours, all afternoon, in the full sun, my precious babies. That were not quite prepared, and they crumpled would probably be the best description. And at that point, I probably had like maybe 15 plants left. I started with hundreds for reference. Also, what was I going to do with hundreds of seedlings? I have absolutely no idea. Past Liz was apparently going to grow like an entire field of tomatoes and feed the entire neighborhood. Fortunately, she was thwarted and ended up having a nice like small backyard garden amount of size because we have a backyard garden, so that's good. But holy cow, the sun fried those poor plants like no other. After this experiment, I made sure I was in a more attentive headspace when my plants were outside, slowly increasing their time, and I made sure that they at least had water, So see, I'm learning slowly but surely. So takeaway number 5, when hardening off your plants, maybe don't leave on errands for the first 2 days. Your plants will not, in fact, understand your absence and they will fry. Maybe even start in the morning. Next time I'm going to definitely start in the morning when there's a more gentle sunshine. And of course, you should water your plants. Make sure they have water. Always, always helpful. And there we are. The 5 ways to absolutely kill all of your seedlings and how you can make yours thrive if you would prefer to take that route. Also, we can't have this video ending on a super sad note, so I will show you my garden now. Because yes, those 15 plants or so that survived by beating out all of their other sibling to get drops of water, which I provided only to be sprayed with leaf poison and burned in the sun. Those plants are the hardiest little buggers out there, and they are doing just fine in my garden a few months later. They're quite a bit behind where they should be in terms of like stature and maturity, but they are alive, dang it. And if I get one piece of food from these things, I'm going to be thrilled. Actually, I have a bet with my mom that I need to produce a tomato from seed, so cross your fingers for me. And next year, I know to do things a lot differently. If you have had any experience killing plants or experience keeping them alive, I would love to learn about it in the comments, as would the many other people who probably stumbled on this video and are trying to somehow learn to keep their plants alive when they're babies. Also, if you would like to follow along on my general gardening and life adventures, make sure to subscribe. I try to post like twice a week on a good week. We'll see. Hope you have a great rest of your week, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.
I'll play a fetch. You're not into the garden. I'll play a fetch.